Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider. Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Oh, he is a spider pig.
All right, Zenitsu, looks like we can have two enemies instead of one. So before you start freaking out and panicking, just hear me out. All you gotta do is just follow. What the fuck? What the fuck? No, hell no, no. Zenitsu, get back down here. Right now. No, get your ass back down here, bro.
What's up, Tanjiro?
So, let me ask you, bro. How long have you been able to do that move?
Yeah, I've been able to do that the whole time.
The whole time I've known you, okay.
I could only really do it when I'm asleep, so sorry.
Okay, so people have died, and me and Inosuke have sustained countless injuries because you've been a bitch.
Ain't you right?
So, this whole time, all I've had to do is just knock you the fuck out, and you could have helped us. Good to know in the future, if I want to end an arc quicker, just knock Zenitsu the fuck out. So that way he can be fucking useful. God damn it.
It's fucked up, but I'll attempt to do better.
I know I can't beat your ass right now, but god damn it. Oh, the second I love Zenitsu, I'm gonna beat your ass.
I understand your frustration, but you and I both know how that will go. You can't hit, but you can't touch.
I'm gonna beat your ass. We ain't got time for this, bro. We gotta kill number 6. I ain't talking about the bitch. I soloed her. I will give myself that. I'm talking about real number 6, Gyutaru. That man over there.
Got it. Let's get him.
You bitch ass. God damn it, Zenitsu.
What happens when you pit one of the wackiest Marvel anti-heroes against one of its most deranged supervillains? That's the exact question author Cullen Bunn asked himself when he set out to create the comic storyline Deadpool vs. Carnage. In this 4-part Marvel story, we're made to ponder one important life question. Who would win the big fight? A psychotic alien with unlimited sharp tentacles, or the merc with a mouth who is seemingly equipped with infinite ammo, various firearms, and many blades? Get your symbiotes running and sharpen your blades, cause all bets are out on this one. Let's get ready to rumble. Bunn's crazy entry into the Marvel Universe Deadpool vs. Carnage opens up with a bang, natural born killer style. What first looks like an ordinary day at Bun's truck stop, one of those typical diners one encounters on a road trip, escalates quickly as it turns into a literal bloodbath. Now, who is responsible for repainting the walls the color of the setting sun? Let's find out. The scene starts with a police officer, arguably in his 50s, as he reads a newspaper reporting that the one and only Carnage has escaped from prison once more. The officer, seemingly talking to himself, as any sane person does, talks about his shoot first, ask questions later policy when it comes to psychopaths on the loose. But it won't take long before he regrets sharing his opinion out loud because, you see, the man sitting right next to him was none other than the red-haired convict, Cletus Cassidy, and he was not having it. Not today, Satan. As fast as lightning, Carnage emerged from the serial killer and went right for the policeman's face, literally blowing his mind. Boom! What ensues is, to put it in simple terms, pandemonium. You think Carnage would settle for bacon and eggs with a dark coffee for breakfast? Of course not. Every single diner guest gets their turn. But before you, dear viewer, get to see the carnage that ensues, we switch to Deadpool, casually watching the report of said event on TV. While Wade eats in full costume what seems to be a bowl of mac and cheese, he decides to switch channels because the image shown on TV makes him lose his appetite. A surprising reaction from someone who has seen and caused more bloodshed than the Sinister Six combined. As Deadpool zaps from one channel to another, the dialogue he catches from every TV show seems to spell out something to him. Is it trying to send him a message? What could it be? That seems very logical. That is, if you are insane as he is. Anyway, that little TV break gives him the impression that the image box is asking him to go out there and end carnage. A challenge which, full of maniacal glee, he gladly accepts. Now, any regular hero would get his detective hat on and strategically look for clues about the whereabouts of Carnage or interview people he might have passed by, right? But not good old Deadpool. He walks outside in full Deadpool attire and stands in the middle of what looks like Times Square and asks the universe to give him a sign. I know that doesn't seem like much of a plan, but in the murk with a mouse world, anything is possible. Heck, how many times has he broken the fourth wall by now? Anyway, let's get back to our horses, shall we? So, Deadpool's just standing there looking for a sign when a sketchy-looking guy is walking around with something in a box that seems to be dripping blood, leaving a trail. A sign? You betcha. So the anti-hero follows the trail to a butcher shop when an enraged redhead comes storming out of the store. Cassidy, is that you? False alarm. It was just a regular guy going to get a beer at the convenience store next door. But a hint is nearby. Maybe that kid playing at the arcade knows something. Or not. But Deadpool is sure that he is on the right track, and surprisingly enough, he was. What will soon lead to his big fight against Carnage reveals itself in the form of two magazines. One has Cassidy's face on the front cover, while the other shows a modern-day ghost town. Deadpool puts two and two together and heads south to Tulsa, Oklahoma. There, Cassidy enjoys a bit of fresh air in his undies as he wishes to stop trying to conquer worlds or cities and vows to go back to simple, beautiful, random carnage. As he was enjoying the fresh morning air, something seemed to make its way towards him. Is it just me or my spider senses tingling? The object slowly coming into view is revealed to be in fact a huge missile aimed right towards his pretty face. Yep, I definitively sensed a tingle here. The house obviously blows up and Cassidy is only saved by the symbiote as he prepares to face Deadpool head on. What ensues is a mad exchange of bullets, blades, grenades, and very sharp insults. Victory was almost at hand for Deadpool after he force-fed Carnage a whole grenade, losing himself a few fingers in the process when someone unexpectedly crashes the party. As Deadpool's face melts away, Carnage is suddenly saved by Shriek, who is wearing an apron and is dressed as a waitress for reasons. What is Shriek actually doing here? What's her motive? And most importantly, why is she in full cosplay? The battle is just getting started, my friends, and believe me when I say you have no idea how crazy it'll get. But before we get into the heat of the battle, please be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on and hit that like button for more plot armor content. The second issue opens up in quite the dramatic way. After Shriek literally fries Deadpool's face, Carnage goes for the kill by impaling the merc. a trademark attack of his, while asking how he found him. While Deadpool's luck leaves us with a lot of questions, the Merc simply tells Carnage that he followed patterns, which enrages the symbiote, who swore to obey by no rule and follow utter chaos, and only that. Continuing with a wave of attacks, Deadpool seems to be toast until he reveals 2 speakers hooked to his belt. Inspired by his time working with the black symbiote Venom, Deadpool reveals that he knows everything about the one weakness that most of these pesky vicious aliens share: a terrible aversion to some sound frequencies. Deadpool then happily proceeds to blast, for better or worse, one of the most iconic sounds from the early 2010s: dubstep. This sends the symbiote flying away from its host Cletus Cassidy, and by association, from Deadpool himself. While that plan sounded like an excellent one at first, Deadpool, being easily distracted as he is, totally forgot about the presence of Shriek on the scene. The sound-powered mutant then shoots a powerful yellow beam directly at Deadpool, breaking apart his 2 speakers. The battle is on, and now it's 2 against 1. But thankfully, Wilson, who surprisingly seemed to have done his homework this time, came armed with a bunch of incendiary grenades, fire being another commonly known weakness of symbiotes. He then decides to throw 2 of these babies right at Carnage's feet, and then nothing happens. That's odd. Oh wait, Wade just forgot he rigged the explosives to remote detonators. Click, boom! As Deadpool celebrates his victory in front of an amazingly bright bonfire, Carnage's tentacle-like limbs pass right through the flames, gutting Deadpool. Carnage only survived the attack thanks to Shriek's levitating abilities, and as Wilson is left for dead, the 2 psychopathic lovebirds fly away from the scene. At this point, things are not looking good for our Deadpool. But what could possibly put him on par with a gooey alien who has arms and teeth as sharp as a bloody katana? What if Deadpool could get his hands on the Venom symbiote? After all, we already know they worked together in the past. I'll let you ponder for now, but let's just say Deadpool has a few other tricks up his sleeves. After the altercation, Deadpool's suit looks more like a one-piece swimsuit than something you'd wear to fight supervillains and other not-so-nice creatures, so he decides to stop by one of the many storage places he keeps around the country in case of emergencies such as these. But a problem arises. It looks like Deadpool did miss a few of his last payments, so his stored spare suits and weapons have been auctioned off to some suburban guy named Doverton. It turns out the very round Doverton has been following his, career very meticulously. His living room looks like some kind of unhinged detective's office who has been trying to track a serial killer for years. Newspaper clippings and photos of Deadpool and Carnage can be found scattered on the wall, next to a huge map of the United States, which at first glance seems to indicate where the supervillain, the anti-hero, and apparently Venom have been seen in the past few weeks. While Doverton seems to be quite the organized detective, he basically acts on instinct like Deadpool, as he believes that Carnage attacked the town of Doverton, which shares the same surname as he does. It's unclear how many other connections he has found at this stage, but one thing is for sure: he will help Deadpool find Carnage's next destination. Jump to Cassidy and Shriek, now living their best lives at the wheel of a red convertible, just driving to nowhere, when suddenly Deadpool's voice is heard coming from a radio sitting in the back seat. It turns out Deadpool is sitting right in front of them in a giant mower which has been towed, one which he lets loose in order to shred the car to smithereens. After Shriek's face goes through the front shield, Cassidy suddenly goes into rage, instantaneously summoning the red symbiote. The duel starts once more as Carnage ejects Deadpool from the mower, sending him flying in the air, Team Rocket style. Round 2, fight! The fight begins with Deadpool suggesting both wackos might be starting a, and I quote, burgeoning bromance. Talk about misreading the signs. Launching the first attack, Carnage clearly shows his intention of putting Deadpool in the friend zone. Deadpool counterattacks with the katana slash right in the neck as Carnage impales him once more. The mercenary's non-stop yapping enrages the alien, also known as Red, giving him the upper hand as the fire from the wreckage around them slowly spreads, stopping all traffic while not stopping curious idiots to watch the show unfold on the highway. In a surprising twist, Deadpool, who stands impaled in the air, leaves guns and swords aside to try another tactic to get to Carnage. Carnage, psychological manipulation, a weapon, as you will see later, that can act as a double-edged sword. Before being thrown away at full force, Deadpool tries to convince Carnage that what he calls chaos is an imaginary friend, that all of this randomness he is seeking is just an illusion, and that everything has meaning and can somewhat be predicted. After that moment of clarity, Deadpool lands on a truck spilling his guts all over the pavement, and does what any crazy would do in a situation like this: try to find more clues about where Carnage is heading next, of course. He starts by trying to pick up words coming from the crowd of curious phone-wielding witnesses when his sight falls on a specific word printed on the truck driver's uniform: Mercury. He then turns around and sees the word team on a nearby school bus before scratching his revealed brain and wondering what Mercury team was. Before we go back to Cletus Cassidy on the run, let's pause and quickly unpack what is that so-called Mercury team. The team was originally created by the US of A's army in order to fight and capture Carnage. It comprises 4 military members who each own a symbiote: Agony, Phage, Lasher, and Riot. When together, these symbiotes can merge and create the unstoppable hybrid, something to keep in mind for later in today's video. Alright, let's get back on the road. While Deadpool was trying to find the meaning behind all these signs he encountered, Carnage was busy abducting a whole family with his unconscious girlfriend in the backseat of a van. While he kept terrifying the whole family and threatening the little ones, he too started to see signs everywhere. Reading through tourist pamphlets, and most precisely the one about weird places, an idea started to germinate in Carnage's twisted mind. In the meantime, Deadpool was riding in the sunset tracking signs: a cloud the shape of Carnage's face, a dead dog on the road, a Mexican-themed family restaurant, rednecks gutting something, or someone. Before finally arriving at yet another ghost town, Deadpool then stops by the van we saw earlier to only find traces of what spells out massacre. As Deadpool is busy inspecting the town for more clues pointing to Carnage's whereabouts, Mercury Team is finally introduced, but only briefly as Carnage infiltrates their base through an air vent, wiping out the whole team, or at least its humans. It doesn't take long for Deadpool to find the elevator to a poorly guarded, top-secret military complex, and it takes even less time for him to be ambushed by Carnage and sliced into little hors d'oeuvres. Carnage's plan was to slice him to bits, as it would take him way more time to regenerate and set the whole place on fire to watch him burn. But someone, or something, survived the initial attack on the complex as a dark spider dog-shaped thing approaches the mercenary, or what's left of them anyways. 4 symbiotes, 1 black, 1 yellow, 1 purple, and a blue one suddenly takes hold of Deadpool as he turns into a really cool yet terrifying hybrid Deadpool, with an extra doggo companion armed with a set of teeth that could easily munch through solid metal. The game is on, and Carnage is about to get served with a side of hallucinations. From this point forward, anything, and I say anything, is possible. Whatever you do, don't trust your eyes. If Deadpool has survived this far without any outside help, all odds are on his side now that he has leveled up with 4 symbiotes, don't you think? But who knows, with a wild card such as Carnage, he did defeat them before with a surprise attack after all. So begins the last chapter in this insane chase riddled with signs, so buckle up. Carnage's last stop is at Carrington's Cottage Psychiatric Hospital, where he hallucinates the words Carnage Psycho, calling him through the institute's name. The psycho on the run then interviews a bunch of patients and doctors about the meaning of chaos and randomness. It turns out Deadpool did actually get into his messed up head of his with all his ramblings. But when we think about it, was it actually a good thing to do, considering that Carnage is now repainting the psych ward in fresh red? After blowing up one of the doctor's heads on a wall, Carnage gets the same treatment as a bullet coming from a sniper hits him. Deadpool is still out there, but this time, it's personal. The enhanced anti-hero launches his symbiote canine right through the window and at Carnage, while the little sanity left of Carrington's unstable patients goes out the window at the same time. A now conscious Shriek is still in full cosplay, but this time as a sexy nurse. Blast Lasher, the dog symbiote, right in the chest. Lashes then turns into Carnage in a flash, confusing the hell out of Shriek as she goes mental about it and runs away screaming like a madwoman. Now laying on the floor floor is hybrid Deadpool, posing like one of those French maids, before launching a full attack on Red. Shots are then fired, and Carnage is trapped through a hook as Deadpool makes him crash through a concrete wall. That obviously only scratches the Crimson symbiote's surface, who regenerates at an alarming rate. The discussion about the meaning of their actions continues as they tear at each other, when Deadpool points out how the two loonies are in reality connected and somehow very similar in nature, going to the extent of calling himself Carnage's spirit animal. If Carnage wasn't already mad, all this questioning and self-doubt would surely have driven him to the edge. And as hybrid Deadpool draws swords, Carnage suddenly vanishes. Looking for Shriek and the meaning of life itself, Carnage is seen walking the dark corridors of the Institute until he spots Deadpool lurking, swords in hand, ready for action. Pouncing from behind, he goes for the kill when he suddenly realizes he had just attacked Shriek, who was actually covered in the 4 symbiotes. Talking to himself, Carnage refuses to admit he did wrong and denies being punished for not listening. And this is where, dear readers, we are usually heading towards an epic final battle, but not today, I'm afraid. It's now morning. The police and ambulance are here to fix the damage. It looks like Cassidy turned himself in. And not unlike any of us, the police officers are wondering why he did so, and if there is a motive behind it. Sitting in full symbiote, Carnage just sits there in his cell and says,
"Gonna sit right here till I'm left alone, till I'm my own man again, and then I'm gonna find Deadpool and make him pay for trying to peel my eyes open."
Leaving us with a cliffhanger, Carnage only hints at the coming horrors he will commit once he made up his mind and escapes from prison, as he often does. Will Deadpool win with wits the next time around, or did he just create an upgraded monster, an absolute carnage? Back in the countryside, Deadpool is saying his goodbyes to Lasher and company, telling them he can't keep them because of his very busy and insane schedule. He then walks into the sunset, like some kind of western cowboy, telling the slime doggo to get him and his symbiote pals back to the government, calling himself the Dr. Phil of the superpower lunatic world. Wade Wilson ponders the question, who's next? Well, that was quite the ride to Crazy Town, wasn't it? Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day pondering the meaning of chaos. Until next time.
This is what you don't understand about me, bro. I'm really the GOAT. Like, I'm the GOAT out here, but you don't want these problems. I'm not even gonna talk to you, bro. Put your hands up. This is what I mean. You're scared. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? I don't talk. I fight. Put your hands up. You're not even a little scared of me? Bruh, I'm gonna tell you one more time to put your hands up, or I'm gonna cave your chest through your back. Put your hands up. I'm gonna give you the one-on-one that you want so bad, bruh. Whose man's it? No, I'm no bitch. I mean, we can get it going. Hey, matter of fact, you ever heard about the gates, bruh? Yeah, I know about the 8 gates. Why? Nah, Heaven's Gates. Cause yeah, that's where I'm about to send your ass. Yeah. I'm gonna go to the side. Fuck it, but I'm no bitch. Let's go.
Deadpool is probably Marvel's most popular anti-hero. His unpredictable behavior and tendency towards outrageous violence have made him near and dear to the hearts of many fans. Although Deadpool can seem amoral, he usually finds himself on the side of good. The people that Deadpool is paid to kill are almost always bad guys or people that have attacked Deadpool first. Rarely does he ever hurt or murder the innocent. When things get dire, Wade Wilson typically chooses to be heroic rather than the selfish and careless persona he maintains. Even the merc with a mouth has certain lines that he won't cross regardless of the money involved. With that being said, there have been times when Deadpool has pushed things way too far. These moments are the topic of our video today. These are the times when Deadpool's actions stop being fun and comedic and turn dark and villainous. Deadpool's done a lot of twisted and disturbing things in the past, so we'll only be counting the terrible actions that affected people that didn't deserve them. Deadpool can be as evil as he wants to be when it comes to bad guys. The sins of Deadpool variants across the multiverse are also fair game for our list. If their name is Wade Wilson and they've done something awful, then they're in the running. But that's enough about the boring rules. You're here for the mayhem and carnage, so let's get right into it. These are the top 10 worst things Deadpool has ever done. Number 10. Tony Stark's alcoholism. Deadpool is known for taking on pretty much any job if the money is good. It doesn't matter if the client is a good guy or a bad guy. Money is money to Deadpool, but one job crossed the line even for him. During the 80s, while joyriding in a stolen car, Deadpool was approached by a devil offering him a job. Around this time in the comics, Tony Stark was struggling with his addiction to alcohol. This was the demon in the bottle storyline, which showed fans that Iron Man was just as human as anyone else. The devil wanted Wade to get Tony to break his sobriety, and without a second thought, he agreed. He even offered to kill Iron Man and make it look like suicide for some extra money. The fact that Deadpool was so willing to ruin someone's attempt to free themselves from addiction shows how cold-blooded he can be at times. Eventually, Deadpool tracks Tony down to a hotel and sees him at his lowest moment. Luckily, Deadpool changes his mind at the last minute. Instead of getting Tony drunk, he decides to help him break his addiction. The two have a sweet moment where they pour out all of the alcohol. But because Deadpool is Deadpool, he still tries to fulfill the contract. He knocks Tony out and steals his Iron Man armor. As he flies off to deal with a nuclear crisis, he gets heavily intoxicated. Instead of safely stopping a nuclear power plant from melting down, Deadpool just throws the radioactive nuclear rods into the ocean. This not only pollutes the water, but also ruins Iron Man's reputation. After the incident is finished, the devil shows back up and accuses Deadpool of failing his job. Wade responds by showing the devil that he fulfilled his contract to the letter. The contract that he signed only required him to get Iron Man to drink and not specifically Tony Stark. Because he was tricked by a mortal, the devil was dragged to hell by Mephisto. Once again, the day was kind of saved by Deadpool. The reason this moment is at number 10 is because although Deadpool ruined Iron Man's reputation and mocked his addiction, he also helped Tony through one of the darkest times of his life. A little bit of good sprinkled into a lot of incompetence and bad, exactly Deadpool's style. Before we reveal any more of Deadpool's bad side, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to never miss an upload and smash that like button for some plot armor comics today. Number 9. Archangel the Cannibal. Deadpool is no stranger to team-ups. One of his most famous teams is the Uncanny X-Force, a rogue group of X-Men willing to make the tough choices that other heroes can't. The team consisted of Wolverine, Psylocke, Phantom X, Archangel, and of course Deadpool. The team's first mission was to assassinate Apocalypse, who had been reborn in the body of a child. That's right, they were going to murder an innocent kid. This mission sets the tone for all the other adventures the team goes on. The team travels to the moon and fights their way through a clan that is protecting Apocalypse's child form. During the battle, the team gets separated and gets heavily injured. Deadpool watches over Archangel, who is emaciated and on the brink of starvation. Deadpool tries feeding him chips and soda, but that isn't enough. With no other option, Deadpool feeds his teammate the only food left, himself. Deadpool slices strips of flesh off his arm and gently feeds them to Archangel without telling him what it is. Because Wade's healing factor, this doesn't cause him any permanent damage, but it is still incredibly gross. It's hard to tell if it's the healing powers inside of Deadpool's body that help Archangel, or just the fact that Deadpool is full of nutrients, but regardless, Archangel is back to full strength pretty quickly after his disgusting meal. Ultimately, what Deadpool did was actually incredibly selfless and considerate. It was also just really disturbing. Only Deadpool could find a way to save a friend's life and make them a cannibal at the same time. The team does eventually manage to capture young Apocalypse, but none of them can bring themselves to murder an innocent child. They instead decide to take the kid with them and try to re-educate him for good. That plan goes out the window though when Phantom X shoots the child in the head. They completed their mission, but no one feels good about it. Number 8. Cable's lobotomy. For multiple reasons, Deadpool doesn't have a lot of people he can call friends. His unpredictable behavior and annoying attitude repel a lot of people from getting closer. The people that do manage to get close to Wade usually end up dying in the end too. But there is one person that always seems to stick around Deadpool. Cable, a cyborg mutant from the future, is arguably Deadpool's best friend, even if the two fight a lot. Over the years, the unlikely duo have gone on tons of adventures together and have saved the world countless times, but like everyone else that hangs around the Merc with a mouth, Deadpool caused a lot of trouble for Cable. During one of their adventures, Cable tries to unify the world. With his newly enhanced telekinetic powers, Cable builds a space station. From his space station, Cable threatens every world leader by telling them that he plans to throw every country's missile into the sun. This instantly makes Cable the #1 enemy of every country on the planet. Eventually, almost everyone on the planet decides to work together to take down Cable. World leaders, S.H.I.E.L.D., the X-Men, and even the Silver Surfer all want to pick a fight with Cable. The X-Men go so far as to hire Deadpool to stop Cable. The whole conflict ends with Cable and the Silver Surfer having a massive battle. Cable is injured, but Deadpool manages to teleport him to a safe house in Switzerland. It turns out that Cable had purposefully turned the world against him to show everyone that it is possible to work together. He wanted to martyr himself in order to unite the world. Once the two of them are at the safe house, Cable tells Deadpool to use a mini teleporter to remove sections of his brain. This would stop his telekinetic and telepathic powers from burning out, but it would also lobotomize Cable. With Cable's permission, Deadpool uses the teleporter to put him in a catatonic state. This is another one of those times when Deadpool technically did the right thing, but in a messed up way. Deadpool only lobotomized Cable because he was asked to, but it still hurt one of his best friends. Turning the one person in the world who even tolerates him into a vegetable is a pretty troubling action. Number 7. Shot a civilian. The last couple of moments we've listed here were things that were ultimately heroic actions by Deadpool that were just done in terrible ways. Well, we're done with that now. Everything from this point onward is bad for the sake of bad. Deadpool is going to do whatever he wants and he doesn't care who gets hurt in the process. During one of his missions, Deadpool attempts to assassinate a shapeshifter, which causes a lot of misunderstandings to happen. The shifter turns into Black Widow and tricks the cops into attacking Wade. Deadpool fights off the cops and continues the chase. The shifter transforms again, this time as a blonde cheerleader. A good Samaritan sees Deadpool attacking the woman and attempts to defend her. He brutally broke the man's arm before running into Daredevil, who showed up to stop Deadpool's rampage. The two fight, but Daredevil easily takes Deadpool down. To escape, Deadpool doesn't explain the situation to Daredevil like a normal person would. Instead, he does something unexpected and just downright bad. He shoots a random civilian in the leg, severing a major artery. Daredevil is forced to save the man's life while Deadpool escapes. In fairness to Deadpool, he did ask where the nearest hospital was before he shot the man. Also, Daredevil was right there, so there was little chance that Daredevil would allow the man to die. So it's safe to say that he wasn't trying to kill him. Even still, Deadpool did hurt a lot of innocent people who didn't deserve it. A group of cops trying to do their jobs, a heroic citizen trying to save a woman, and a random bystander all got caught in the crossfire of Deadpool's assassination. Number 6. Deadpool kills Phil Coulson. During the Secret Empire storyline, Captain America turns out to be a sleeper agent for Hydra. Once Captain America is activated by Hydra, he goes on his own spree of villainy, some of which Deadpool was a part of. Deadpool has actually been a huge Captain America fan ever since he was a kid. His love of Captain America caused him to idolize the hero. That love was used against him during the Secret Empire storyline. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Phil Coulson had discovered that Cap was evil and was planning to expose him to the world. To stop him, Cap sent Deadpool to assassinate him. But because Deadpool worshipped Captain America, he didn't even question the assignment. It's never occurred to him that it was suspicious that Deadpool of all people would ask him to kill someone. Deadpool tracks Agent Coulson down and shoots him out of the sky with a rocket launcher. Coulson flees into the woods and manages to hide out in a safe house disguised as a diner. Deadpool still finds Coulson and kills him by shooting him through the heart. He then burns the place down to destroy any evidence. Captain America shows up and congratulates Deadpool on completing the mission. But even Wade can tell that he's done something awful. Killing an innocent man who was trying to save the world isn't even the worst of it. Coulson was close friends with another S.H.I.E.L.D. agent named Emily Preston. Preston and Deadpool were also close friends. Wade used this connection to get to the location of Coulson's safe house. On top of the cold-blooded murder, Wade also betrayed the trust of one of his only friends, all because his childhood hero told him so. It's both tragic and evil. Number 5. Deadpool, Herald of Galactus. As we've shown before, Deadpool has no problem at all working for bad guys. He's even tried to work for the likes of Red Skull and Dr. Doom. But there was also a time he was employed by one of the biggest villains in the Marvel Universe, Galactus the Devourer of Worlds. Galactus is a cosmic being that consumes the energy of planets for sustenance. This process usually ends with the planet being destroyed and billions of people being killed. To help him with his never-ending feast, Galactus appoints heralds to scout out suitable planets for him to consume. Most of these heralds don't work for Galactus, but do so anyway to save their home planets from being destroyed. The Silver Surfer is the most famous example of one of Galactus' heralds. Unlike the Surfer, though, he didn't become a herald for noble reasons. Wade just wanted the money and thought Galactus was cool. Once Galactus imbued him with the power cosmic, Deadpool started his new job with a smile. Deadpool led Galactus to multiple planets teeming with life, and each of these planets were consumed by the Planet Eater. Eventually, though, the massacre came to a stop.
but not because Deadpool realized the evil of his ways or felt remorse for what he had done. Wade just annoyed Galactus so much that he fired him. After being fired, the Silver Surfer caught up with Deadpool and decided to stop his intergalactic rampage. The two fought and caused a lot of damage to a nearby planet, but ultimately the Silver Surfer prevailed. He stripped Deadpool of his cosmic powers and sent him back to Earth, where he joined his support group of Galactus' other former heralds. Billions of life forms across the galaxy were casually wiped from existence, all because Deadpool's love of money and cool powers. It's hard to imagine anything that could be worse than that, but Deadpool is always willing to set a new low. Number 4. Deadpool Killustrated. Deadpool is one of the few people in the Marvel Universe that knows he's a comic book character. Almost every Deadpool story is filled to the brim with fourth wall breaks and meta jokes. This is one of the reasons why Deadpool is so popular among fans. But there was a time when Deadpool's knowledge of comic books broke his mind. Wade came to realize he was trapped in a never-ending loop of suffering. No matter what he did, the writers of the comic would just bring the dead back to life and write new challenges for them to struggle through. Deadpool believed that the only way for him to be free of this cycle was go to the origin of superhero stories, classical literature. He traveled to the Ideaverse and planned to kill every classical hero he could find. Nobody was safe from Wade's bloody massacre. Characters like the Little Mermaid, Dracula, and the Headless Horseman were all slaughtered without mercy. With each murder, Deadpool weakened the Ideaverse and altered the nature of stories. Eventually, he caused so much damage that the Ideaverse fell apart. Those in the real world began to believe that heroes can die. The Marvel characters that were inspired by classical literature began to vanish and be forgotten. The comic ends with Deadpool floating aimlessly through the void as he waits for the end. Luckily, Sherlock Holmes decided to remember the lost characters and kept the idea of heroes alive. Deadpool's adventures were far from over, but he still caused a lot of damage. Dozens of history's favorite classical characters died at his hands, and the very idea of heroes was almost completely wiped away. Deadpool's murder spree through classical literature was probably his most destructive action, but our next moments are even worse because they're personal. Number 3. Deadpool is a bad dad. Most superheroes have a lousy track record when it comes to children. They live a dangerous lifestyle that usually results in a lot of kidnappings and near-death experiences for their loved ones. There is always a chance that a supervillain will come looking for revenge and decide to target the hero's child. But Deadpool might be the only hero who's a bigger threat to his own kid than any villain. That's right, Deadpool does have a child, a daughter named Eleanor Camacho to be precise. Eleanor was the result of a one-night stand between her mother Carmelita and Deadpool when they were both kidnapped by a villain. Unbeknownst to Deadpool, Carmelita got pregnant and raised their daughter all on her own. Even when Deadpool learned of Eleanor's existence and that her mother had died, he still didn't step up to be a father. Instead, Eleanor was taken in by Agent Preston and raised by her family. For the most part, Deadpool would act as an absentee father and only show up occasionally in Eleanor's life. These brief interactions weren't always good. One of these interactions included using her as bait to lure out one of his villains. Due to a lightning strike by Thor, Deadpool had become fused with the villain Madcap. For a while, Madcap was trapped within Deadpool's mind and forced to endure endless trauma and pain inside his consciousness. When Madcap was finally freed, he sought revenge against Deadpool and attempted to ruin his life. In order to get Madcap out in the open, Deadpool used his own daughter as bait. He even compared her to the shark chum used in Jaws. Deadpool's plan was reckless, but it worked. Madcap showed up and even shot at Eleanor. Luckily, Deadpool had asked Quicksilver for help before. The speedster took her far away from danger and back to her foster mother. Wade never planned for his daughter to be hurt, but this wild plan does show he's willing to put the people he cares about in danger for his own benefit. Eleanor and Deadpool have always had a difficult relationship, but it became more strained when Deadpool killed her foster mom. When Agent Preston found out that Deadpool killed Coulson, she attacked him. During their fight, Deadpool was forced to blow her up with a grenade. He then kidnaps Eleanor from her foster family and forces her to live with him for a while. Naturally, she ran away back to the Preston family and learned that Deadpool killed her foster mom. To put it simply, Deadpool is the furthest thing from a good dad. Number 2. Deadpool kills his parents. As we've seen, family is a complicated subject for Deadpool. That's true of the relationship with his daughter, and it's definitely true of the relationship with his parents. It's a bit difficult to talk about Deadpool's parents because their story has been retconned so many times. Originally, Deadpool never knew his father and was raised exclusively by his abusive and alcoholic mother. He only met his father when he was an adult and didn't even realize who he was talking to until he was already gone. Later, the story was changed. Wade's mother died of cancer when he was 5, and his father was the abusive alcoholic. His dad died when one of Wade's friends attacked him and shot him with his own gun. The last time Deadpool's origin changed was also the darkest version of the story. For a time, Deadpool was under the control of a villain named the Butler who had wiped his mind. To test the full extent of Butler's manipulation, he sent Deadpool to murder his own parents. Deadpool traveled to Canada and without even realizing it, found his childhood home. During the night while his parents were asleep, he snuck inside. We don't know a lot about Wade's parents, but from the family photos and the trophies, it seems like they were good people. The truth was finally revealed. Deadpool had a great childhood and loving parents. Parents that both burned alive in their own home. Deadpool was being manipulated while he did it and had no memory of the action, so he can't be fully blamed, but still, it's easily one of the most gut-wrenching stories in Deadpool's history. Number 1. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Deadpool manages to always leave a long trail of carnage, trauma, and pain behind him no matter where he goes. Almost every time Deadpool does something terrible, it can be justified one way or another. Sometimes it's by accident in the pursuit of good, and sometimes the suffering is on purpose because Deadpool just can't help himself. But the worst thing that Deadpool has ever done can't be justified or forgiven. Deadpool's greatest sin not only hurt the people in his universe, but it also hurt the people in our universe. Our tale of tragedy and horror begins with Deadpool being committed to an asylum by the X-Men in an attempt to cure his insanity. Unknown to the X-Men, Wade's doctor is actually a villain called Psycho Man, who controls the minds of his patients. Psycho Man attempts to take over Deadpool's mind by silencing the many voices constantly talking in his mind. Things don't turn out great for Psycho Man though. With all the other voices gone, a new and more powerful voice emerges in Deadpool's mind. This voice tells him to kill everyone, starting with Psycho Man. After bashing in the brains of his former doctor, Deadpool starts his bloody war against the Marvel Universe. Deadpool kills many of the greatest heroes and villains of the Marvel Universe in creative and horrific ways. He blew up Luke Cage from the inside, crushed Thor with his own hammer, shot Spider-Man in the head, skinned Beast and wore him as a cloak, and forced the Punisher to kill himself. Even the cosmic characters like the Silver Surfer and Galactus were powerless against Deadpool. Eventually, Wade's massacre led him to the nexus of all realities. From there, he enters Marvel's version of our world and found the writers of his comic. Before he kills them, he looks at the reader and tells them that they're next. This wasn't even the only time that Deadpool slaughtered all of our favorite Marvel characters. In a different universe, he did it again. This time, he had been reprogrammed by Magneto, the Red Skull, Doctor Doom, and the Abomination. When a special code phrase is spoken, Deadpool falls under their control. From Deadpool's perspective, his surroundings turn into a colorful cartoon world where all of his actions are heroic. In his deluded state, Deadpool kills all the heroes in the Marvel Universe. Eventually, he was freed from programming by Gwenpool and hunted down every villain. His last target was Red Skull, whom he decapitated with Taskmaster's shield. The fact that Deadpool murdered everyone in his own universe twice is bad enough. What makes it worse is that readers had to see their favorite characters killed in gruesome ways. Even when everyone was dead, it still wasn't enough for Deadpool. His killing spree spilled into the real world, and now his crosshairs are aimed at you and me. It doesn't get any worse than that. Well, what did you think of our list? Were there any evil Deadpool moments that we missed? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching to the end, and until next time, keep that plot armor on you. I'm Morse Code, and have a great day.
La la la! Hey Luigi!
Mario!
It's time for you to die!
Huh? Okay. Yeah! What? Oh, boo!
Let's go!
Let's go!
You know, people come up to me all the time and they say,
one thing that's super cool and unique about Deadpool is that he's meta. You know, he knows that he's a superhero and he's aware of himself.
most of the time I run away because non-celebrities frighten me.
Are you ready? Is you ready? Are you ready?
Close your eyes. It's a little demonstration to answer your question.
You were the best part all along.
I love it when a medley comes together. Wanted someone to impale you.
Get out of my way!
Did anybody see that? 3, 5, 8, 9. I mean, seriously, I murdered like 20 of you stunt guys.
We the soldiers.
Who in the cameo are you supposed to be?
I'm Jubilee.
Which one are you? After all, you're played by a different Asian actress in every X-Men movie.
We got no white flag and no tree.
Don't think saving me is gonna win you any points with the X-Men? You're not a superhero.
We got the product. We got the tools.
Why'd want to join their stupid franchise anyway? They can't even keep their timeline straight.
We going wild. We on the loose. People that drive. We are
You were crying.
Damn it!
Why?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We on the loose.
Well, hello there, it's Deadpool. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button.
So, alright, y'all know we on our way up out of here. Thanks for tuning in to Team DWC presents Spider Pig. Y'all make sure y'all check out the links in the description. And always hit the buy me a coffee so y'all can help support the channel. Sign up or donate, whichever one y'all want to do. That's on y'all.